Ladies and gents, it's about that time again. It's the PD Skillz Show. And this week, we keep it rolling with the one and only Yucha from the Yukon, Reverso. What's going on?
Me, man.
Not bad, not bad. Great to have you on the show. So how have you been, man?
Awesome. I've been really good. Really good.
Keeping sane through everything?
Yes, keeping sane, keeping fit, keeping active. Yeah, I've been doing all right.
I've seen the obviously the training videos. You keeping active there in the school. Now, for the guys and girls at home that may not be familiar with Reverso, give them a little backstory, who you are, where you're from, as far as professional wrestling goes.
I'm from Destruction Bay in the Yukon territory in northern Canada. I learned how to be a luchador from up there, watching all of the tapes that I could in the tape trade. I came to Windsor, Ontario when I was a teenager, and joined up with these hooligans, wrestling in the in the fields and in the backyards, just developing my craft. I had a passion right from the very very
absolutely always
that you could. Yeah, exactly. As you can see, imitation is the highest form of flattery, and I'm representing the Blue Blazer in Owen Hart today.
There you go.
Yes,
some more it's that's got the lucha going on, it's got the Canadian tribute going on. It's kind of the all-in-one mask right now. Sometimes I like to do this for our audience at home. They can't make it past the 10-minute mark. Where can we find you at online?
Online, you can find me on Twitter at OS Reverso, on Instagram at Dan Paisano, and on Facebook at Dan Paisano as well.
All right, there we go. And as always, you can find me at PD Skillz Show, same tag everywhere. So let's get into it here. Your early career and early wrestling. Actually, I wasn't going to necessarily allude to it, but you did our hooligan days, just as Aiden Prince did. Now, obviously, you've had a passion for it forever. And I remember when I first met you, when we were doing those shows as kids, you came in and you were automatically like a guy that was doing things that other people weren't doing and making other people elevate.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yes, I appreciated the technician aspect of the wrestling.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and the storytelling right from a young age. Then passion, like you said, I definitely was like as involved with it and just surrounded myself in it from as early as I can remember.
Yeah, and now one thing I've always wondered, like with a lot of the guys that I remember back then thinking were ultra talented, when you got into wrestling school, was there a hard lesson learned, as far as did you need to learn you weren't as good as you thought you were, or did you go into the school already knowing you needed to have a blank mind?
Oh, I was told from the get-go, forget everything that you were told. And I tried to have that advice, I tried to take that. And the thing is they were absolutely right. Everybody that told me, oh, you think you know something, but you don't, you know nothing. They were absolutely correct. So I walked in that school with the attitude, and I'm glad I did, because when I walked in there, Alex Shelley was there, PD Williams was there, Chris Saban was there. You know what I mean? So compared to them, especially day one walking in, it's like, oh my God, hello, sir. Yeah. They're just amazing talents. And I was just lucky.
And I mean, without naming names, I know there's people from our Windsor, our group that we grew up around, that did go there with that mentality, and it didn't necessarily work out so well.
That's true.
So I've always wondered that, as far as the guys that I always thought were a little more advanced, walking into a wrestling school, knowing how to do some pretty cool stuff, if it's if it's almost humbling before it becomes a learning experience, if you kind of have to humble yourself.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Not that you ever had an ego, to be totally honest with you. Not that that was ever an issue, but I mean, as far as mentally, it's just humble yourself within, because there's situations where I don't necessarily verbalize that an ego, but on the inside, I'm like, man, that should be mine, or I should be this, or I should be that. So it's cool to hear that you went in with that blank mind and you kind of knew it right away. And fast forward, is that a lesson you teach out now?
Yes. Oh, I definitely try and teach the same thing. Everybody that I've seen come into the school with an ego, they've definitely not had the same success as everybody else that I've seen, like the John Bravos of the world that I've just sat there, they've spent their life focusing on one goal and step by step trying to achieve it. And it was one piece at a time, you know what I mean? And it doesn't always happen right away. And if you look at he's a prime example of, after, you know what I mean, after so many years, after 20 years in the business, now it's finally paying off, and he's a mainstay and impact and everything.
Yeah.
So
Now, obviously, you started there, like you were saying, like Saban was there, Shelley was there. Obviously, this was all under, the tutelage of Scott Demore. That, that's your start. How was it coming up in the Can-Am system back then? And that, those are some more, I wouldn't say those are like the old school guys, but they're like the next gen, like that first generation after the like old school. Like, how was it coming up with like a bunch of guys of that caliber?
Oh, it was, I knew then I was fortunate. That's for sure. I knew being around Scott and all those other guys that I was definitely in a special atmosphere right from the get-go. And all I had to do was spend as much time with them as possible. So that way their knowledge could rub off on me and I would be good for that. You know what I mean? Because I just, especially after school late, Shelley was the best for always saying, hey, I have this I want to work on. He kept a notebook, which I highly recommend. You know what I mean? He kept a notebook of all the moves and everything that he wanted to try. And he would ask for people, hey, do you want to stay? Hey, do you want to stay? Hey, do you want to stay? And I was always one that would say, yes, yeah, try the moves on me. You know what I mean? I love, you know what I mean? And that's why even like it's persisted through on, is like I've always taken moves from everybody, and it's translated into me showing better in the actual ring about how to take everything and how to really expand on, you know what I mean, and really sell and everything like that. So.
And then, like, so, I mean, I remember you guys were some of the first ones out of our group of friends to, train professionally and start getting in the shows. And that, those were some of the first times where, started to become a reality for a lot of the guys. What were some of the things early on in your career, like, before you took a break, which we'll kind of get into a little bit? What were some of those things earlier in your career that really stood out as memories, as far as like opponents or like, opportunities that, you earned?
Geez. Definitely a lot of the stuff that I did with Border City and how the early TNA days were there, and how I was in a four-way with P. Williams, you know what I mean? There's definitely a lot of stuff that even that, like Joe Doring's early career, you know what I mean? I was wrestling with him. So I look back on that, and I was very fortunate to be at the beginning of the career of like John Bolin as well, you know what I mean? So I reflect on that, and it was just like I said, really fortunate, just really lucky to be there. I didn't take it as seriously maybe as I should have as a kid, you know what I mean? Like I had a great passion for it and everything like that, but I always like, yeah, I always had a job, and I was always like, you know what I mean?
I get it.
You know what I mean? So, if I just wish I would have put a little bit more into it then, but you know what I mean? I can't say that.
Kind of took a more of a risk, maybe, or something like that.
More of a risk.
I get that. I mean, you get brought up. Not everybody's, parents necessarily from day one are, necessarily going to be supportive of the wrestling thing. If you got it, even a halfway decent upbringing, they want you to have a backup plan. You get that backup plan. It's steady. It's hard to jump away from it, at first, and I get that. And then family happens before you know it. And that comes out of nowhere.
That's true. So I was in Edmonton, Alberta, you know what I mean? And I had hurt myself really bad. I had this one spot where I backflipped out of the ring, and the ring had shook throughout the match. So that way there was this tile floor that was exposed, and I tore all the muscles off the bottom. It was horrible. I couldn't walk for like 4 weeks. It was, you know what I mean? So it was around that time that like, and I don't really blame her, you know what I mean? There was a talk of like, it's not really going to survive the wrestling if this is going to keep happening. And like there's two things I've always heard in wrestling: it's you're never going to make any money, and you're always going to be hurt. And like if it's really, really hurt with some of the stuff that I was doing, then is it going to be worth it? Is it safe? It goes back to that whole, the parents teach you to have a backup plan and everything else like that. And when you have kids, you know what I mean, you're missing work now and everything else, it gets to be really scary and stuff. So I made that sacrifice, you know what I mean? I did the best that I could, and I don't regret it. Like I said, my kids are excellent.
And that's something like that's something we had in common. Like I disappeared for a good 6-7 years when my kid was born, and made that conscious decision. Like the conscious decision, I didn't think I would ever do like hardcore death match or anything like that again. But I mean, here I am years later doing it anyways. But at that time it was that at the bare minimum, but then kind of phased out of the wrestling. And especially at that time, because if you have to be standing on your two feet, like you said, you're injured, you miss your regular job too, and then your family sacrifices that, and it's like you're balancing risk versus reward and all that. And then,
exactly.
Then you get yourself kind of into a position where you're like, okay, now I can intelligently do this and pursue this, and everything's kind of solid. Kids are a little bit older. It's it's me time.
Yes. Oh yeah.
And not necessarily all you time, because when they're little, they need so much more, like kids need so much more attention. And then when you get like, because now my kid, like you can't explain. You can never explain to an infant why you're not there
Yeah.
or why things are a certain way. Now, like I find, like I don't know if it's the same thing for you. I don't know how old
Oh, mine are older now. Mine are 12 and 9.
12 and 9.
Now,
Okay,
yeah.
so yeah, mine turns 9 this year. I couldn't remember if it was both were considerably older. I'm like, I knew you had a kid first. So yeah, like I found about, a year or two ago, once they hit 7 or 8, you can actually talk to them and they actually, want to know what you're interested in. Then it's almost time to go back, because they're gonna start saying, well, why don't you do it anymore?
That's true.
And
That's true.
that was kind of part of my thinking, was eventually my kid's gonna ask why I don't do it anymore. And I don't, at that age, I can't say, oh, because you were born.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But not being a bad thing. But I figure, a kid may take it that way.
Well, it's kind
eventually.
of hard to explain to your kid to follow your dreams and you can do anything you want to when you're saying,
not
well,
doing it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know? So it's for me, I find it's a great example to lead for my
Yeah,
kids.
it's like, it's hard to say, follow your dreams while I push a pencil.
Yeah, yeah. And just completely give up, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So yeah.
Now, while you were out west, I know you had at least one match.
Oh, I wrestled lots out west, actually.
Yeah,
I did.
like
I
I
wrestled
know
for a couple of years out there before that happened. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I actually got to wrestle Jinder Mahal before he was Jinder Mahal. Yes.
Okay.
That's true. And
I
that
did
was
not know that.
Yes, that was at the Prairie Wrestling Alliance. Yeah, that was out west in Edmonton, Alberta. That was an amazing time.
I like hearing when the boys get to like wrestle guys like before, like they become like a big thing. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty dope. Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah. He had a tag team with his brother who was in Impact Wrestling as well. And they were amazing. They're great people, you know what I mean? So I really enjoyed my time out west. The couple years that I spent wrestling there were ones that I really, really enjoyed.
So did you hurt yourself out west? Okay.
Yeah. And I spent a lot of time out west where I was recovering, and basically still I came back here.
Did you do any PWA shows out there?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So you're probably one of like the handful of people who've done PWA in Ontario and out west.
Yeah.
That's pretty dope. And actually, I think they're one of the few. Actually.
Oh, are you talking about Eddie's though?
Yes.
Because no, I didn't do Eddie's because Kurt's is the Prairie Wrestling Alliance.
Okay.
So, but now it's Wrestling 365.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
So.
I didn't know if you did Eddie's when he was doing. Is that part of why? I maybe wonder why that's part of why he changed it. Who knows?
You don't know. Yeah,
because it's confusion. Although I like the 365 wrestling thing. It's different. And that's somewhere when it was PWA here you wrestled, and
those were some of the best matches of my career as well.
Honestly, yeah, and that's what I was going to talk about too. Is then you have that break, you do that family thing, and since you've come back, I've seen you have some some pretty cool matches, one-offs, opportunities. One of them was PWA. I mean, I think this was just before Josh got signed, but like it was kind of when it was imminent. Like everybody knew it was fucking imminent.
Oh, everybody did. It's true. I remember even at the school talking to Scott and being like, Scott, why haven't you signed Josh? That, you know what I mean? Like, why hasn't this happened? And he was just like, So I think maybe he was in the back of his mind already, even when I was saying to him. So
yeah. And so you had that feud, and not just a match, like you guys actually had a feud there, and actually had fans invested, and a story that, like, even for myself who did not attend the shows, was able to follow, and it told a good story. And like how did you find that feud and that experience?
Oh, it was something that elevated me. It was something that gave people faith in using me as a character, because if Josh had that faith and he was able to, you know what I mean, do those matches with me, then other people could do that, you know what I mean? It was able to really display my talents in that. And the thing was too, is like there is a low roof, so being a luchador and a high flyer, not being able to do high flying moves and still wrestle someone like Josh Alexander and really get a great show out of it was something that was a little bit of a challenge. But when you're creative and when you come from the school that we come from, it's just like you look at that challenge as like an opportunity, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So. And like the part, like I said, I like is that it wasn't just a one and done. You guys actually got to tell a story over a series of matches, and that doesn't happen too often in independent wrestling, where like promoters are willing to invest in that match a couple times.
Oh, it's true. It's one of the things,
4 times, whatever the case may be.
The most
a lot of promoters won't do that.
It's true. And on that show where it was the last man standing match, we were the main event, and Carlito from WWE, he was there, and he was the one before right before intermission. So I was the main event on a show with Carlito. It's something where it's like, for me, you know what I mean? Like, how could I ever imagine that as a kid, like 8-year-old me was totally like, oh my God, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I get that. It's,
Yeah.
you know, some of the shows I've been on, you run into these guys that you see on TV, like growing up, and it's like, oh man, like there's times I tell people, I'm like, if I don't make it to WWE or now like modern era, it's AEW or whatever, I'll still die happy knowing like the little kid in me got to live out a few of those moments where I'm like, that was cool. I'll never forget those moments where I really soaked it in and just still thought it was like extremely cool to meet these guys.
Yeah, Johnny Swinger, actually, that was one for me when I got
Yeah.
to wrestle with Johnny Swinger. I remember after the match, I returned to points. I was like, oh my God.
And you know what? If we're, you know what, we're gonna, if we talk, you know, because we grew up watching, you know, some of those guys here with Border City Wrestling.
Yes.
Let's do a little bit of a rewind.
Oh my
Because
God.
you and I were part of two different groups of professional wrestling fans.
Yes.
To the smart crowds known as the Plan and the Unrulies. And we actually, if there's one thing that brought us together, it was El Tornado and Tyson Dukes as a tag team.
Oh my gosh, yeah, for sure. They were amazing. Oh, there's so many people I remember from back then. Hacker, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gutter, I love how like you know what I mean? Like he was so popular in this area, you know what I mean? It was amazing. Geez, like I said, Swinger, even Al.
Yeah.
Back then, Al was just like he was huge.
You know what? That was one. He was huge. We were on, and like then I got an opportunity to tag team with him. It was him and I against, I think it was, oh my God, I want to say it was the Jen Blake and Pat Tanaka.
That's awesome.
Such a weird combo match. I think it was something like that. And the ref messed up, and Al just straight bombs him. Like bombs him after the match, the ref. And it was like some ref that like honestly wasn't trained, didn't know what he was fucking doing, and just totally shit the bed. I mean, he probably learned a little bit from experience.
Somehow, then. That's
how he was fucking he was fuming, and like in that moment, like I became 16-year-old Tim again, where I was like, oh fuck, this guy's scary. Powder out, do your thing. Powder out, do your thing.
As trained and as professional as Joe Doring still does that to me in the ring. When Joe Doring is across from you and he's moving as fast as he can and he's got that aggressive look in his eyes, there's a little part of you that just like you know, feel like the road you know what I mean? It's hilarious. My
first, like he's big fucking guy. I remember my first time meeting him was Tilsonburg PWX. He came in and he had like a fucking sore arm, and he's like, oh fuck, like he's complaining about his arm being sore and all that. He stayed next to me, and I'm like, I got my gear bag open. I'm like, what the fuck? You want a brace, bro? Like I got extra braces. Here, you can like have one. And that was like my first thing of him, where I was like, that is a pretty big dude. I'm gonna get on his side. Like, here, buddy. Here's a sacrifice.
That's funny.
But I mean, completely awesome dude. Like super legit badass.
Yes.
Carries himself that way.
Yeah.
But also like a nice, like good dude. At the end of the day, good dude. Now, obviously, since your return, I mean, things have picked up at a pace that maybe, I don't know if you expected it to. You've gotten some opportunities as far as working with Impact Wrestling.
Yes.
So tell me about the times you've gotten to work with them, how the experience has been, what you've learned.
Well, to tell you the truth, being humble right from the start was something that I learned right away, did like help my career, because the very first opportunity I had got taken away from me right away. And I didn't react as, you know what I mean? Some people may, where they would get very angry. You know, Scott came over to me and he said, you know, I'm really sorry, kid, but it was 3 months after I came back to the school.
Yeah.
And he says, you know, I think you're close, but I think maybe just a little bit more time, if you don't mind. Like, you know, and I just said, Scott, you know, the fact that you even considered me ready after this amount of time, I'm honored, and you know, I respect your decision, and hopefully in the future, you'll, you know what I mean. And I remember him thinking, he's like, oh well, you know, and that later on, it wasn't very long after. It was the next month, you know what I mean. I had my first opportunity, and then I'm tagging with Prince, and then I'm doing solo stuff, and then you know what I mean. It did, like you said, it blew up beyond my wildest dream, where I'm in there with Johnny Swinger and everything, and then I have all these opportunities at other indies and everything like that, and I'm wrestling main events, and I'm going to Montreal, and I'm going, you know what I mean. So, and like as I've said, I've been kind of all over Canada, you know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I've had lots of exposure and everything like that. So you know, now like there's been other issues. I know we've talked about like other issues, and there's vision issues that a lot of people don't know about. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So in the past, I feel like everything that I've done up to this point, I've done with an anchor in the water. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And now the anchor's up, now the sails are at full spread, and now the wind is at my back, and I'm
Yeah.
going full, you know, full speed ahead.
And then yeah, you started doing that, you getting that stride with impact and having these matches. And this is something I talked about with Prince too, is you get these matches, you get that momentum, and then this COVID shit hits. So
Yeah.
what what kind of, not to open old wounds, but what did things look like
Oh, well,
before all this came around?
it was really tough because the last show in March was called Lockdown, which ironically was
Yes.
canceled because of a lockdown. It was supposed to be a steel cage
Mhm.
themed show, and I was supposed to wrestle Ace Austin for the X Division Championship. So you can only imagine what that would have done for my career. Speaking of,
Tons.
you know what I mean? Like to be able to market that and be able to advertise that and be able to display the footage from that and show my capabilities of in that match would have been, you know, like you said, my wildest dream. I can't imagine being able to like achieve that. And it, you know what I mean, as you said it, but I'm not letting it disappoint me. I'm not the same.
Yeah,
same
because I
thing,
mean,
like,
everybody, back then, everybody got, whether their opportunity was little, medium, big, whatever the size of the opportunity they had, it was gone.
it's true. It's true.
And it's kind of for everybody getting back. Now, what have you been doing necessarily to get yourself ready? I mean, things are lifting up, things are getting ready to go. I mean, one thing that I didn't learn until recently that was super exciting for me to hear is you're one of the trainers now at Can-Am. So I mean, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
It's good to see things come full circle for the guys. I've seen it in the past with Prince, I've seen it with you. It's fucking awesome to see. What does Reverso do to essentially reverse the effects of COVID-19 on his career?
Oh, well, I think I did come like full circle, like everybody, where they had that pit of depression where it's like, how do you deal with this? You know what I mean? And fortunately for me, mine happened at the right time where I had certain opportunities and then it was taken away, like I said, and then again, and then it was taken away. And then I was really sad for a while, but my girlfriend helped me out. She got me like and my parents too. They got me a bunch of weights and everything like that over Christmas and everything. They're like, hey, the gyms are closed because the YMCA, they were amazing. You know what I mean? They advertised all the shows for us. They had me as like a member of the month and everything like that. They
that's awesome.
Personally. Yeah. So the YMCA was so good to me, and then they closed. And after that happened, like my girlfriend and my parents, they got me all my own personal like workout area. You know what I mean? So that's how I stayed in shape.
Yeah.
And then because I'm a trainer, I had access to the school, so I'm able to run the ropes and do a bunch of the flipping stuff. Like I think I even put on Facebook where I was by myself and I do like a handstand thing. Yeah. So you know what I mean? I was able to stay in shape that way, and I feel like I'm in the best shape now than before the pandemic. And now that the pandemic's up, like, and gyms are just opening. Like, you know what I mean? So I can only imagine.
And you've gotten a head start.
Yes,
which is
exactly.
Great.
So, you know what I mean? I'm so driven right now, and I had that opportunity that was waiting for me before. And I don't feel like it's not there now. I feel like there's going to be so much more available to me now. I honestly do.
It's not that it's not there. It's not necessarily waiting for you. It's just, you're ready that soon as whatever's between you and that open up, like you're ready to go grab it again.
Exactly. I have this feeling, like I just know it, that there's something great still happening. There's something great still coming. You know what I mean? And I'm ready to reach out there and grab it. I'm going to take it. You know what I mean? If I have to.
Yeah, absolutely. Now with training at the school, like, because it's one thing to want to be a good wrestler. It's another thing to want to make others the same. Tell me a little bit about your motivation as far as what motivates you as a trainer. Where does your reward in this come from?
We're gonna probably get a little deep here, actually. I'm sorry.
So that's good.
I started wrestling because I didn't have that much confidence. So I started wrestling with a mask. You know what I mean? Like I didn't really feel like I could wrestle in front of people without the mask. I had acne. I did suffer from like confidence issues. So it actually helped me out. So being at the school and having an achievement like that where I've accomplished what I have, it gives me that confidence in myself to be able to overcome that lack of confidence and that anxiety and those certain other issues, right? So I honestly do feel like that the school saved my life. You know what I mean? I feel like it gave me a self-worth and an appreciation and a reason why, you know what I mean, like share that with other people. You know what I mean? I can't let that like just fall to the wayside. I have a responsibility now to show others how valuable it was to me and how valuable it can be to them. Like it may not be like, you may not want to be the best wrestler, you may not want to be the X Division champion or WWE heavyweight champion, but if you learn something through that wrestling school, like whether it be how to take better care of yourself, or say you want to learn how to edit video footage, or say you want to become an announcer, or you want to work with sound or lighting.
Some people go to school to be a wrestler and find themselves on a different path even.
Exactly. There's so much opportunity within the four walls of that school that are beyond just inside the four ropes as well. You know what I mean? That it's limitless. And that's where I plan, you know what I mean? I have a drive and a focus and a plan moving forward where hopefully we can continue to accelerate Can-Am as the best wrestling school in all of Canada, and not just that, but the world. So
well, there you go. And obviously, I mean, it's the school has been around, you know, for a long time. There's, you know, been some epic trainers obviously to come through there, you know, right from the top. I mean, with Scott, and then, you know, Joe and Tyson and Divine and Johnny Bravo has been in there, a guy who's been around forever. Like he's a guy where another guy where I'm like, that's a guy I like to see get his due. And, you know, and he probably feels the same way as you do as far as being able to teach people, like, you know, those lessons that you learned and everything like that. Now, coming from a long line of trainers that have been great at that school, how's that pressure on you?
Well, first, it's an honor. I do take it as an honor to be held in the same standard as those people. It's not really so much as a pressure, it is a joy, because I do really enjoy my time in there, and I do like working with new people that have an appreciation and a love and a passion for wrestling. So if I can share my passion with someone who else is passionate, it's not a day of work ever, you know what I mean? So having that responsibility to be there and share my passion as a job almost is kind of just like, it's mind blowing, you know what I mean? Because like people say, it's not working a day in your life if you can really enjoy what you do for a job. So, and I find that it helps you stay firm on the basics and on the fundamentals, you know what I mean? It really helps you think about certain other things that when you're working with those students, it makes you stay solid on that, and like your psychology and certain things. So I really love it.
Yeah, because then I mean, you're not only teaching them, you're also staying fresh yourself. So exactly. I mean, it kind of goes with that. Now, one thing kind of to see if it's quite like, if you feel the same way though, sometimes, are there times, like, because I spoke to Aiden about this, where are there times that you find you need to kind of step back and go, I got to make sure I look out for myself still at the same time?
Yes, there is definitely times about that, because you can get lost in it. You can be at home and think about like, oh man, this move would be really great for this guy, or this move would be really great for that guy. And then you get to a show and you're like, oh, what about the moves that I'm supposed to do?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So you have to separate that. And thankfully for me, I'm passionate enough where I'm watching wrestling all the time. I'm always, you know what I mean? So basically, if I'm teaching a class, I may call someone later on and be like, hey, do you want to stay late with me? Like Alex Shelley did, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, we'll do this here or whatever else like that. So I kind of
take
learn from the past.
Take some new time, and then, yeah, like actually work on yourself.
Exactly.
You still need to get that, like you still need to learn.
Exactly.
Which I mean, everybody still continuously needs that. Now, where does Reverso have his target set on coming out of this? Are there a few places, any places you can, you know, tell us about that you've been talking to, where we could expect to see you pop up? Oh, people are starting to, like, I mean, I think I saw Chem Valley.
Yes,
they've advertised you, so we can talk about that. Any other shows coming up?
So yeah, I'm going to be going to Montreal for MEW at September 24th, and then we're going to Fort Erie for Bordertown Pro Wrestling in September 25th, and then we mentioned Chem Valley, that's going to be August 21st. So I'm really excited for everything that I have going on. I have more in the future, but when you talked about plans, like basically I plan on running through Ontario like very few have ever done before. Like I plan on being like the guy here and showing exactly what I can do. When I see about what I want to accomplish, I think the sky. I want to, you know what I mean?
And you know, and this is actually, I mean, it's exciting because it is the first show since I've been doing this podcast that people have shows coming up to promote. So it's awesome. Like you've got your 3 dates there. Like I've got No Ring North coming up next month, August 29th. That's in Toronto there. It's actually going to be their first event, like with in the first live event, because they were going to be in the bars before the pandemic hit. First show scheduled, all that shit, and then they got canceled. And then they've been doing all the cinematic stuff that I've gotten the opportunity to take part in. And now that's going to be live back in the bars. So like everybody's got shows going on. It's actually exciting. And one of the things, like I've said before, is I hope that a lot of like this stuff, I hope these are things that people continue to do past the pandemic.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's unfortunate how some people got lost in it. You know what I mean? Some people had to think about other things like that steady job or anything else like that. You know what I mean? It's tough how some people might get washed away in it that had a lot of passion for it. But the people that are going to come out of this, I think, are going to be the ones that are like really driven, really focused, and really, you know what I mean? Oh gosh, I'm sorry about that.
Oh, God, who cares? Not a big deal.
Okay. But yeah, that's going to be the people that, you know what I mean? They're going to come and really shine. I think the ones that had that, you know what I mean? That passion from the get-go.
Yeah. And that'll be great. And I'm obviously looking forward to seeing you absolutely kill it, because you seem fucking pumped as all hell to get in there and do it. I mean, I think it's been a long time coming. Yeah. You know, I mean, we've grown up doing this shit, you know, since the same, you know, around the same age. You got into the pro side a couple of years before me, but you know, we both had that, you know, that breaks and realizing there's only so much time on the clock sometimes. And it seems like it's go time for a lot of people. And the last year's made us realize it and kind of appreciate it more.
Oh, it's true. The sentiment of that last promo, if anyone's gotten to see it on Facebook, the promo for Kent Valley Wrestling, that is 100% true. And I honestly do feel that right here and right now, you know, like things are going to happen. You know what I mean? I'm so excited to see
that's what's been great too, is like watching like you doing your, like everybody doing these promos online. It's like it's Christmas in July.
Yes.
It really fucking is Christmas in July.
Yeah, that's a good,
for the one we missed, the two we missed. I don't even know anymore. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I definitely looking forward to seeing you in the future. I fucking thankful you came to the show. Great to be able to do it live with another Windsorite. And why don't you hit him with the plugs again for those at home?
Yeah. So on Twitter, it's at OS Reverso, and on Instagram, it's at Dan Paisano, and same thing on Facebook, it's Dan Paisano. So look me up if you're interested at training at Can-Am Wrestling School, and also if you're you know what I mean, interested at booking me for any shows that you have coming up.
There you go. Book the man. He doesn't fucking disappoint. And while you're at it, fucking book me. Yeah, do that. And as always, you can find me at PD Skillz Show, Twitter, Instagram, all that. You see the shirts at the bottom of the screen. Pick one up. I need it. I need to pick me up. So pick one up. Until next week. This is Reverso. I'm PD Skillz. You're not. You already know that's a good thing. See you next week.